right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us today. We have our webinar hosted by acu-CONNECT. My name is Whitney Gilstrap, and I'm going to quickly run through just a few housekeeping items before I hand it over. Just a reminder that all attendees will be muted, but we do encourage everyone to ask questions. Feel free to type them into the question or chat box. We'll get to those during the Q&A portion, but if we don't have time, our wonderful presenters will make sure to follow up. The webinar will be recorded and sent out to all registrants post-webinar, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. And then lastly, I just wanted to provide a quick reminder that the acu-CONNECT 2022 virtual happy hour is next week on December 15th, and that is from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'll go ahead and pop the registration link into the chat in case you're interested and want to attend. There's no formal agenda, no demos or anything like that. Just an opportunity for everyone to network and have a little bit of fun, grab a drink. And then that's it for the housekeeping. So I will go ahead and hand this over to our presenters. We are joined by Alltech and PaceJet. They're going to go ahead and give a brief introduction about themselves, and then we're going to dive into our discussion on how automation can result in significant time and cost savings for manufacturers. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you, Whitney, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Dan Dervaric, and I am the sales director for the Central Region for Alltech and for our product DocLink, that is a document management and workflow automation solution that integrates with Acumatica. Just a brief history, I've got about 36 years of experience working with ERP software, selling ERP software, implementing ERP software. Literally have implemented ERP software from shop floor labor reporting all the way through financial statement reporting for both discrete and process manufacturers. So again, thank you for joining. Luke, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, then I'll continue with the presentation.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. My name is Luke DeLeon. I'm a senior account executive here at PaceJet. I've been with the company for about 13 years in various capacities, but have recently moved over to take over our Acumatica relationship earlier in 2022. PaceJet is a built by Acumatica partner that provides a multi-carrier shipping solution, providing rating, shipping, and documentation for parcel and LTL carriers, supplementing the overall fulfillment process within Acumatica.
All right. So to begin here, just to provide a brief agenda for everyone, we've already completed the introduction. Well, actually, no, we got another slide or two. Sorry. But then we will go through a brief presentation of DocLink so that you have an understanding of what DocLink is, how it works, and how it integrates with Acumatica. After that, I will turn everything over to Luke again so that he can provide an introduction to PaceJet and to their products. And then after his presentation, we will have a panel discussion where we will answer questions about our products and about the digital transformation that we're talking about today. So to start with the digital transformation, the question is, what is the digital transformation? There's a lot of different definitions of it. People have a lot of different ideas about what digital transformation might mean to them. And they're probably all correct. But at a very high level, digital transformation is the effort that we're all going through to improve business processes, improve efficiencies for everybody's business by taking things in a more electronic direction, eliminating paper as much as possible, because paper slows us down. So to the extent that we can get freight rates from PaceJet and add those rates to our customer orders, to the extent that we can bring in vendor invoices as a PDF and bring them into DocLink and have those invoices automatically entered into Acumatica so that we streamline those processes and we take a lot of the extra time out of them that we've traditionally had with paper-based systems. Those are some of the things that we're trying to do here in the digital transformation. Of course, we're also addressing the hybrid work environment that we're all in today. We know that Gartner has done a study, and they expect that as many as 94% of small and medium-sized businesses will continue to have some form of hybrid workforce for some time to come. So these are all components of the digital transformation. And Luke is now going to talk in a little greater detail here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, digital transformation, it's really not a new concept. It's been a fairly popular concept for quite a while. However, its importance has really been highlighted over the last 3 years, especially with COVID-19. There's been unforeseen disruption caused by the pandemic, and more companies, particularly manufacturers, have started to embrace technology as part of their future plans. This has led the industry to actually surpass expectations, which is the good news. Even though we've been looking in the face of labor shortages, as well as supply chain issues, and those don't look to fully ease up going into 2023, especially with kind of some economic uncertainty on the horizon as well. So knowing that, we know that companies need to be flexible. They need to be able to pivot quickly as the market changes. And that's where this embracing of technology has really come in. So this chart here was run by Deloitte. They surveyed a number of manufacturers to identify kind of upcoming trends that they see in the industry. And in their research, they found a few that stood out, kind of as you'd expect, as Dan alluded to. They are implementing new talent management strategies. They're rethinking how they look at their supply chain. One thing that stood out to us, however, was that the number one trend manufacturers see kind of going into 2023 is automation and this idea of embracing new technology. So as far as looking at automation to run their business, this chart kind of shows where many manufacturers are planning to spend and invest and focus in 2023. And that includes moving to the cloud, improving their data analytics, and of course, the automation of many of their business processes. Today, we're going to highlight kind of how Acumatica can be complemented with partner technology to help in that effort. Dan?
All right. Thank you, Luke. So next generation manufacturing, again, has been around for a long time, and we've all become very dependent upon them. We know that they have been instrumental in already automating a number of tasks. We can go way back and we can take a look at what an MRP calculation used to take and those sorts of things. So we know the value of your ERP system. We know the value of Acumatica and what it has meant to streamlining your processes and automating the business, the daily tasks that you have. But there are ways that, as Luke alluded, we can take that even further. We can take that and we can add solutions such as PaceJet and DocLink to your Acumatica environment to continue to streamline your processes, continue to automate, and continue the move in an electronic direction to make things even more efficient, provide more accurate real-time information, and continue to enhance your operation. Now, with that introduction, I'd like to transition into our presentation on DocLink and talk just for a moment about what is DocLink. As I mentioned earlier, DocLink at a very high level is a document management and workflow automation tool that can be used throughout your company. DocLink is designed to connect the users of your system, connect your people, your processes, and your data. And we will connect that data and those processes, whether they originate in Acumatica or whether they originate outside of Acumatica. We can streamline those processes. One of the comments that I've recently read that I like a great deal is DocLink takes the friction that we experience in a paper-based system. We eliminate or certainly reduce the friction that comes with a paper-based system. Things can be much more efficient, much faster to process, much more streamlined with DocLink. And lastly, DocLink will also deliver your documents to your customers and your vendors. So for example, if you're in a make-to-order manufacturing environment and you need to deliver not only a quote, but perhaps engineering drawings and other documents to your customers, DocLink can take all of those documents, combine them very easily, very effectively into one email for delivery to your customer. And then when those documents come back, we can pick them up and continue processing from there. So at the bottom, you see we are connecting people, processes, and data for a competitive advantage. Now, how does DocLink work? At its core, DocLink starts with a repository. This is where your documents and the data that we find on those documents will be stored. And we can bring the documents in through any number of different methods. OCR, or optical character recognition, is certainly a popular one and a very powerful solution, popular method for bringing documents into DocLink. But we can also use a simple desktop scanner. We can read PDF files that are attached to an email. There's a number of different ways that we can bring the documents and their data into the repository. Once in the repository, we can then work with those documents if we need to. We may need to automatically route them through a workflow so that a vendor's invoice goes through the proper approval processes. And once that approval has been completed, we will take that invoice and automatically push it directly over into Acumatica as a bill that's ready for downstream processing from there. We have smart forms that we can use to enhance and improve the efficiency around things like expense reports, purchase requisitions, credit card reconciliations, and those sorts of things. Basically, any form that you currently have in Excel or Word or a fillable PDF, we could turn into a smart form in DocLink and then have it automatically routed for approval and also for retention. And as I mentioned, once invoices have been approved or once orders have been read from customers, we can automatically push those transactions into Acumatica. We can also deliver the documents, as I mentioned, quotes, engineering drawings, those sorts of things. We can deliver directly to your customers. We can automatically deliver contracts and those sorts of things to your vendors if we need to. And with all of this information and all of these documents in the repository, we have very powerful search and retrieval capabilities that will allow you to retrieve these documents and hopefully help you reduce your annual fees on your audit by being able to deliver to the auditors the invoices or the other documents that they request. We'll be able to deliver them far faster than you can in a paper-based environment. And all of this, of course, is done in a two-way synchronized integration with Acumatica, so that if you are looking at an invoice or if you're looking at a bill in Acumatica, there is a View Documents button that allows you to reach into DocLink and display the invoice right next to the transaction that you're viewing in Acumatica. So the integration, again, is really very strong. It is two-way. The additional benefit that DocLink brings to you is that if you have processes, if you have documents and processes that may not necessarily need to touch your ERP system, DocLink can work not only in an integrated fashion, but it can also work alongside of Acumatica so that those documents, those workflows and processes are handled strictly within DocLink so that those users who may not need access to Acumatica, they don't need access to your ERP system, are still kept outside of Acumatica. However, they are still able to process those documents, store those documents, retrieve those documents, all of those benefits that DocLink provides to them. If we take a look at accounts payable, for example, accounts payable is probably the most common point at which people introduce document management and workflow automation. As I mentioned, we have OCR scanning capabilities, the ability to read a PDF attached to an email so that we can onboard the invoices very easily. And from there, we can route them through the workflow if necessary. And if it's not necessary, if it's, let's say it's something as simple as a utility bill or a cell phone bill that doesn't need approval, we can read the information on that and push the information directly into Acumatica. It's a completely hands-off data entry mode at that point, and it certainly enhances your efficiency and streamlines your processes. And for manufacturers, you certainly have materials to purchase, other supplies, those sorts of things for which you're using purchase orders. You are receiving packing slips and the vendor invoices, and we can do three-way matching in a fully automated fashion as well. Again, streamlining your processes and improving your efficiencies. All of this can be done given the data that we gather from the invoice. A lot of us may not think of it as data, but it truly is. So who is the vendor? What is the invoice number? The invoice date? What did we purchase? What was the unit cost? The quantity we received? All of that information is data that we can use in the workflows, as well as in the security of the documents. So we refer to all of that data as properties of the document, and those properties can be used in a number of different ways. We do have a case study of an Acumatica user, an industrial evaporative cooling and air conditioning systems, and they were having problems controlling their paper and making sure that access was not only quick and easy, but also controlled from a security standpoint. DocLink was able to eliminate a lot of the printing, the copying, the manual paper processing, taking paper from one corner of someone's desk and processing it and then putting it on the other corner of their desk, or walking down the hallway to find that red file folder that has the invoices that needed to be approved. All of those sorts of things we were able to eliminate or certainly improve through the introduction and implementation of DocLink. And so today, in the end, they've got better control over their documents. Their documents are very easily accessible to everyone, no matter where they are. And they have a seamless transition to the remote workforce that they find themselves in today. As I mentioned earlier, DocLink is an enterprise-wide solution. So while many companies will start their implementation with accounts payable automation, I encourage everybody I talk to exploit their investment in DocLink and find all of the other places in their company where they can use DocLink. I have had a conversation with a process manufacturer who, believe it or not, was not reporting raw material usage through their ERP system. And they had forms that they fill out on the shop floor that are paper-based. 3 times a day, somebody would gather those forms and take them up to the office so that they could be manually entered into a spreadsheet. You see the problem here already. And we had a conversation about how DocLink They could put that form into a smart form in DocLink, use a tablet on the shop floor, and instantly report that raw material usage and eliminate the data entry in the office as well. But beyond that, DocLink can be used for field service personnel. If you have people who go to your customer sites and they're carrying technical manuals with them in their briefcase or some larger form, with the DocLink mobile app, they would be able to access all of that technical documentation from their smartphone or a tablet. So again, think of DocLink as an enterprise-wide solution that can be used literally by every department in every company. If we take a quick look at the sales order quote to cash cycle, again, we can create quotes. DocLink can capture the quotes that you're creating. We can then capture the customer PO after they accept your quote, turn that automatically into a sales order in Acumatica, generate the sales order acknowledgement in Acumatica, but also capture that and bring it back into DocLink and associate it electronically, or if you will, electronically staple it to the customer PO and the sales order. Same thing with the picking ticket. We can capture that and bring it in, the accounts receivable invoice. And when the customer makes their payment, we can gather that information so that you have the complete package readily available at your fingertips, again, anywhere in the world. Contract management is another popular area these days. And again, DocLink has an outstanding solution there. We have complete version control over your documents so that as they go through edits by various users, we can keep track of who checked it out, the changes that they made, when they checked it back in, where it went after that. And ultimately, excuse me, we can deliver that document via DocuSign so that it is signed electronically and returned to DocLink electronically as well. Once it's in DocLink, excuse me, once it's in DocLink, our search and retrieval capabilities are available to you there. We have full text search capabilities. So if you can't remember the name of the contract or somebody didn't name it properly and put it in the proper network folder, you don't have to worry about those sorts of things with DocLink. The document is in the repository. If you remember something about that contract and you put that information into the full text search capability, full text search line, we will find that document and return it to you. One last case study. I think the most important thing here is the quote that we see on the right-hand side. The more you use it, the more you get out of it. Again, going back to my point of it's an enterprise-wide solution, and I want you to exploit the use of it. They have staff members who would quit if we moved away from DocLink because they have become so dependent upon it and appreciate what it has meant in their day. DocLink will improve the efficiency of the employees and provide time back to them so that they can do things that are more productive than data entry and certainly more profitable to your company. So with that, I will now turn the presentation over to Luke for an introduction to PaceJet.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. As mentioned, I'm planning on talking a little bit about our integration with Acumatica itself, but I kind of want to back up and explain who PaceJet is, where we kind of fit into the whole grand scheme of things. We were founded in 2004 by a group of executives that actually purchased a full pick, pack, ship WMS, TMS solution from an ERP that they were spinning off. We maintained that on-premise solution for a few years until the late 2000s when they kind of recognized the move towards the cloud. And again, some of this more digital transformation, and decided to spin up a cloud version of the shipping portion. So we've layered in more functionality that we'll talk about here over the last several years. But our primary focus since 2010 has really been the cloud product that you're seeing today. In that time, we've really started partnering with Acumatica since about 2017, I believe, and it's become one of our closest partnerships and one of our primary partnerships going forward. Go to the next slide. So where this comes in for our customers then, we are built by Acumatica, and this is an important feature for us. We are the only multi-carrier shipping solution that is built by Acumatica, meaning that there is no connector software required. Nothing needs to be built outside of the system. It is a native integration, so everything is going back and forth from your carriers in real time. This also allows you to be more flexible with the workflows that are available. If you talk to 5 different PaceJet customers, you're probably going to hear 8 or 9 different shipping workflows. Many customers have multiple workflows just in one facility. PaceJet and Acumatica allow you to work together to be a little bit more malleable and a little bit more flexible in your process to make sure that you are meeting customer demand as well as reducing overall shipping costs. Of course, we're going to remain always current, so we're always being upgraded prior to the general release for the new versions. And I think, especially for me, one of the biggest advantages of having this built by Acumatica partnership, we are constantly talking with them about our planned roadmap. We tend to have a little bit more flexibility in what we do with the integration and some of the features that we request from the Acumatica team as we continue to build out and expand PaceJet's capabilities. If you want to go to the next slide. So for PaceJet, as I mentioned before, we're multi-carrier shipping, and that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But for us, it really means we work with your carriers and your contracted rates. PaceJet is not a broker. We're not a 3PL. You'll hear me talk about 3PLs in a little bit, but we do work with a lot of brokers that are out there for customers that utilize their services for LTL shipping. That being said, we list about 65 carrier connections. I think the number now is closer to 70, 75. And this is a mix of not only small parcel, but also your LTL and 3PLs. On the small parcel side, you'll see folks such as your UPSs and FedExs of the world will expand some of the service level offerings with our partnership with them, but then also regional partnerships such as Lone Star Overnight in the South, GLS out West, for example, in Pitt, Ohio ground here in the Midwest where I'm located. Excuse me. The overall goal for us is to allow you to ship with whom you want and in the way that you want. So we are going to be carrier agnostic throughout our partnership with you, but we will, of course, have recommendations depending on how your business is changing on some of the different carriers or some of the different options that you can take advantage of. What we've seen from our customers, improved fulfillment times. You can see an estimate of about 75% on average across our customer base are fulfilling their orders faster. They're also more accurate with 99% accuracy using modules such as address validation or scan pack validation, for example. And most important, even though we are not providing our own rates, we are seeing a significant cost in shipping, about 30% on average across the board, just by introducing new options for our customers and helping our customers see different ways to think about shipping. I'm going to go to the next slide. The next couple slides are just some ideas of where we fit into the overall fulfillment workflow with Acumatica. We do start way up in the process off of a sales order. We let your sales team go out and get quotes for your customers. If they are on the phone with a customer or if they need to provide a shipping rate prior to approving an order, PaceJet helps with that with features such as, again, the native rate shopping right off of the order, also predictive packing to help determine how an order might be packed when it gets to the warehouse. We also then will take into account your customer preferences, whether they want to ship on their own accounts and ship third party, or whether they require special circumstances or accessorials such as lift gates. From there, we pass it off to WMS with Acumatica or Acumatica native picking functionality. We will never do anything around the picking. We've kind of left that WMS behind us. Where we do come back into play is the idea of packing. You'll be able to pack with PaceJet, either using drag and drop, predictive packing, or you could use scanners to pack and verify that you're sending the correct items. That being said, a lot of our customers prefer to have Acumatica continue to handle the packing. If that's the case, that's perfectly fine. We read the packing records directly from Acumatica, sending those to the carriers. So that packing step is really sort of your choose your own adventure, whatever fits best for your workflow. Then we will come in for the shipping, again, expanding Acumatica's native capabilities, not only around the small package, but also around, excuse me, also around the different modes, your LTL, your 3PL shipping as well. Well, upon the shipping being complete, we do produce all of your standard documentation. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But most importantly, we are populating Acumatica with all of your necessary shipping information. So we'll have your costs, whether that's how much you're paying versus how much your customer's paying. We'll also have the final number of packages, weights, and the contents of those. A lot of times that can be sent to an EDI partner if you need to send ASNs as part of your business. And then while you ship everything, and Acumatica will have that information, and we really want Acumatica to be the main source of information for you, PaceJet's going to keep track of everything that you're doing within the portal. So we'll know how much you're shipping with various carriers. We'll know how much you're spending, and we'll also have carrier performance. So we can see which carriers are delivering late more often in case we need to make a change. Do you want to go to the next slide? And again, when we talk about working with Acumatica, we are not replacing everything that Acumatica is doing. We are expanding on it. We're kind of helping you grow your usage of Acumatica by expanding that fulfillment area. So this is just a quick look at some of the different areas where PaceJet takes over, whereas some of the different areas that stay with Acumatica. As I mentioned, the one area that could be probably a little bit blue-green on here is right in the middle, that packing step. But everything else, as far as carrier interaction and as far as the fulfillment process, typically will go through PaceJet. The next slide. So as far as kind of what the process looks like with PaceJet, as I mentioned, there's a couple different areas that we're going to integrate. This top screenshot here is really within the order in Acumatica. What I've done and what we'd be happy to show you in the future as well, we've built an order and we have the ability to shop for rates right off of that order prior to approval or prior to sending it out for shipment. And we can go out and get our contracted rates. PaceJet will always default to the cheapest, but I will have options to default to different carriers based on transit time requirements, based on customer preference, or I could simply choose a different carrier if I find it warranted. However, we also give you the chance to rate at the time of shipping, which is that bottom shot. That will give us a clearer view of all of our different modes, as well as how the fees or accessorial charges are going to be associated with any individual order. So we will be able to have full visibility as we choose carriers. If we are choosing a carrier at the time of the order, we'll always have the ability to override that at the time of shipping in case we are running late or in case the customer needs to make a change. Go to the next slide. We'll also allow you to manage your shipping preferences. So most of our customers have their shippers working off of this shipping workbench. This is kind of a running tally or a holistic view of all of the orders that have been released, but have not been shipped or have not been given to the carrier as of yet. So you can see some of the orders we have carrier selected, some we don't, and we need to go out and rate shop. Some have different freight terms that we're going to take into account. And we also have different customers that we're shipping to. You'll be able to change this view based on which facility you want to look at. You can change it based on which customer you need to see or which carrier. Maybe FedEx is arriving in 2 hours and you want to make sure you get all your FedEx orders done prior to the truck showing up. So you can change this view as needed, or again, you can see all of your shipments across all of your locations, kind of one area. Could go to the next screen. And again, another big value add that we bring into the table is eliminating manual paperwork. So a lot of our customers are currently either producing bill of lading themselves or producing export paperwork. PaceJet takes care of all of that. We have standardized documents across the board for all of your shipments. We will work with the carrier to get your pro numbers for LTL shipments. Of course, we'll produce your UPS, FedEx, or other parcel shipping labels. We have a fairly expansive document library that is automatically created and printed. In the case of export documents, such as this commercial invoice, we can also file those electronically with the carriers. So if you don't print those documents today, but you do need to file them with UPS, FedEx via ETD or paperless invoicing, PaceJet fully supports that. The idea that there will be no manual entry, you won't need to create these in any sort of document software, they'll be done for you. Copies of these documents will also be available in Acumatica as soon as the shipment is processed. So next slide. And then we have a customer story. I think it's very similar to the customer Dan had referenced, but it is Portacool. They were named Acumatica's Manufacturer of the Year. And since coming on to PaceJet after their Acumatica purchase in 2020, they really have seen a number of different improvements in the overall fulfillment process. Most importantly, in combination with both Acumatica and PaceJet returning those shipping rates so that all of the invoices are correct, they have changed their end of month closing the books process from 2 weeks to only 2 days. They've also reduced their processing time by an estimated 50% to get orders out the door with PaceJet. And they were actually referred to us by their 3PL partner. So as you can see, we have about 12 to 14 3PLs we work with. We work very closely with them. And it was their 3PL, they used their carrier option that actually referred PaceJet to them. Next slide. Finally, we are going to be at Acumatica Summit this year. We will have a session with a customer that recently came on board, Whole Latte Love. We're going to kind of dive into some of the efficiencies that they've seen since they've implemented Acumatica and PaceJet, and kind of where they see their business going in the future. So if you are attending Summit, our session is on Tuesday afternoon. I will be there with our team, but feel free to stop by and kind of find out more for yourself. Excellent.
All right, thank you guys very much for that. It was really informative. Whitney, do we have any questions in the Q&A?
Let me take a look. I think there's a couple that have come in. I know that there were some, we were going to open it up as a forum, I thought, and
yes,
some
absolutely.
questions that we were there. So I don't see any right now.
Okay.
Again, reminder, if you have any questions that you want to answer, just pop those in the chat or in the Q&A and we'll get to those too. But we'll just start our forum until it's come in.
Awesome. Yeah, we had some questions that were prepared in advance that people submitted. So we'll go through those now. So I know you addressed a little bit of this in your presentations, but how do your solutions integrate with Acumatica, and what resources do I need to manage that integration?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So, as I mentioned, PaceJet's integration is actually built by Acumatica. So Acumatica owns the integration. It's always going to be current. From our side, it's going to be native for everyone. But as far as the resources that you might need, well, you won't need a connector, you won't need another partner to kind of add in. We always recommend that you're going to have someone that is knowledgeable about certain functions within shipping, such as harmonized tariff codes for exports, NMFC codes for LTL, that would be able to maintain our tables that we provide. During implementation, there's a little bit of light lift to get those tables mapped. So having those lists available will be helpful for us. But apart from that, really nothing ongoing as far as resource strain on your side to maintain the PaceJet and Acumatica integration.
Awesome. And Dan, how about Altec?
Yeah, likewise with DocLink, because of the tight integration that we have, there's really not a lot of anything that anybody has to do. You can install the software and begin using it, because the integration is designed to read the information, read all of the data tables that you have in Acumatica. So, for example, when we need to look up a vendor, that vendor is coming from Acumatica. There is only one source of truth when you're using DocLink, and that source of truth is Acumatica. So if you have a new vendor and you've just received their invoice, you can set them up in Acumatica. The synchronization will go to work, and you'll be able to recognize that new vendor in DocLink right away. So that sort of integration happens with vendors, with customers, with general ledger account numbers, throughout all of the different integration points between DocLink and Acumatica.
Fabulous. Thank you. We have another question around a company that's growing and undergoing several acquisitions. Is there a way to reduce staff manual tasks and streamline the processes so the existing staff can take on additional workload without having to add more people and accommodate the growth?
Sure, I'll start that one. The answer is absolutely yes. When you begin to automate and streamline your processes with DocLink, we've heard from many customers that they have not had to hire additional staff as the company grew. They're able to at least postpone the hiring of that additional $40,000, $45,000, $50,000 accounts payable person, for example, because the existing accounts payable staff, whether it's one person handling all of it, or might currently be multiple people, they're able to process a lot more with DocLink because it's all done electronically and is so much more streamlined than a paper-based system. So many of our customers have talked about how DocLink is a strategic addition to their Acumatica system, as much as it is a tactical one, because we're eliminating or certainly reducing data entry. The strategic benefits are also very great.
Yep, and the same can be said for PaceJet. So as you acquire new companies or as you grow your team, whether or not they're going to be in the same facility as you, you're going to see that being able to fulfill items or orders faster, having a very easy method of handling your packing and shipping will mean that you don't need to hire someone to shop for rates all day. You won't need to hire someone to type up bills of lading or packing lists all day. All of those are going to be provided for you. Additionally, you're not going to have disparate systems and disparate carriers. So rather than have on-premise options such as UPS WorldShip or FedEx Ship Manager, where facility one can't really see what facility two is doing, everything's going to be visible from one location. And of course, all of that is connected directly into Acumatica.
That's great. Well, this question is really interesting. So we have multiple manufacturing plants, and it's costly to have documentation couriered to the corporate office. We're looking to centralize the storage and management of corporate-wide documents and data. How can this be possible and have our hybrid workforce access documents securely?
Again, I'll start. I certainly want Luke to be able to sell a lot of PaceJet. I don't mean to take anything away from you, Luke, but I currently am working with a company based in Florida. They have 4 locations around the country, and they are doing exactly that. They are sending documents via FedEx twice a week from 3 remote locations to the home office in Florida. And I just can't imagine what those fees add up to every year. So with DocLink, they will be able to use existing scanners that they have at their remote locations to scan in the documents and either send them as a PDF via email to a centralized accounts payable inbox in the accounting department, or they may be able to scan them and deposit them directly into the DocLink repository. So again, information is going to arrive where it needs to be much faster than it is in a paper-based environment, and is going to be much more efficient, much more streamlined. Again, we're going to remove the friction from their processes through the introduction of DocLink and electronic document management.
I love that, removing the friction. So how long does it take to implement your solution and or see an ROI?
Yeah, I'll start with this one. So for PaceJet, as I mentioned, there's a lot of different workflows and a lot of different ways that people are shipping, even within one company and one facility. So our implementations can vary, certainly, as you'd expect. Our standard is anywhere from about 4 weeks to 12 weeks, with 4 weeks being more parcel-oriented carriers, fairly, I don't want to say simple, but fairly lightweight requirements. Whereas the 12 weeks are more of our EDI heavy, multiple LTL carriers, multiple facilities that require a little bit more touch points. Our average throughout the process is 6 to 8 weeks, though, so right in the middle there. And you can start seeing an ROI fairly quickly. So we have one customer that down in Texas. I believe when they implemented PaceJet, they told us the ROI for them was 1 week because they changed carriers immediately after finding out that they were paying way too much for shipping for what they thought were great rates. So it can vary, but you can start to see an ROI immediately.
And
Awesome.
for DocLink, I would say it's similar in many ways. Some of the more complicated, larger implementations with OCR, higher volumes, multiple locations, multiple companies, those sorts of things may take the project out to around 3 months or so on average. But some of the smaller, easier, more straightforward implementations may be accomplished in around 2 months. And as far as the ROI is concerned, like Luke, you can start feeling the ROI instantly. And we have many customers who have reported, complete ROI in just a matter of a few months. So very, very fast ROI, very easily cost justified solution.
Awesome. So I have a follow-up question for you, Dan.
Okay.
Doesn't Acumatica already have document management built in? Why would I pay for another system?
All right. Acumatica does have some document management built in, but there are a number of reasons why you would want DocLink in addition to it. As I mentioned, it is an enterprise-wide solution, and so we can manage documents that apply to departments that are not Acumatica users. We can manage all of those documents, all of those people, those processes, the data outside of Acumatica, so that we still retain all of those documents. They're retained in a much more secure manner. There's a lot of reasons why you would want DocLink to complement your Acumatica document management. There are some customers who continue to do the processing in Acumatica, but store the documents in DocLink. But we also have customers who have looked at it and said, the maintaining the workflows in Acumatica isn't as easy as it is to set up and maintain workflows in DocLink. There's other reasons why somebody may choose to use DocLink in favor of Acumatica.
Got it. Okay, this question is for you, Luke. I would like my sales team to provide quotes, but have not found them to be accurate because of factors such as incorrect packaging being used or certain services not being selected. How does PaceJet help ensure the quote is as accurate as possible?
Sure, absolutely. So PaceJet, we're going to leverage a lot of the information that's already in Acumatica. If we're talking about packaging, for example, I mentioned we have this idea of predictive packing, or you might hear it be called auto pack. We're taking a look at all the item dimensions in the order. We're taking a look at special rules such as this item ships by itself, or it's already in the box that it ships in. So we need this box plus another box for all of our accessories, et cetera. And we take a look at the standard box sizes, pallets that you're using, and we determine how it's probably going to be packed when it gets to the warehouse. The idea being the smallest number of boxes and the smallest number of boxes and the smallest boxes possible to reduce dimensional weights from the carriers. Additionally, we're pulling from the customer record everything that maybe their facility needs a lift gate for an LTL order, or maybe they are open on Saturday and require a Saturday delivery. So we're pulling all of this information and we're sending that information to the carriers. So ideally, your customer service team, they might not know how things are packed. Same thing with someone on a website. They might not know how things are going to be boxed up. Certainly, it's not their job to. PaceJet takes care of that. So the rates they're getting back can be considered as accurate as possible based on their contracts.
Got it. Is there any hardware that clients need to purchase in order to use PaceJet effectively?
There's not. That's a good question. So we will piggyback on the printers that you already have in place. We have cloud printing. So as soon as you process a parcel shipment, we will use your thermal printer that you probably already have from UPS or FedEx. Anything that can read a Zebra printing language, ZPL, and we'll print those labels. We'll utilize the laser printers that you already have for your bills of lading and packing lists, for example. And then if you have scales connected in your warehouse, we'll be able to piggyback onto those as well. So no new hardware is required. If you do want to use something like our scan pack validation, we do encourage you to get just a standard barcode scanner. You can get them for $40, $50 on Amazon.
Excellent. And Dan, I have a question for you. We have ocean freight bills regularly, and we utilize landed costs. Can DocLink tie the freight bill to the PO receipt automatically?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, earlier today, I was talking with an Acumatica user, a DocLink prospect, about processing landed costs. So yes, we can certainly add those freight costs to the products to bring in a fully burdened landed cost into the Acumatica inventory.
Okay. And for you, Luke, this from a client or from a prospect, I already get unbeatable rates with our favorite carrier, and we ship everything with them. Would we be able to keep our contracted rates with our carrier? And why would we benefit from a multi-carrier solution?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good timing because it kind of piggybacks onto that ROI discussion, right?
Yep.
So we certainly can understand that a lot of your times, depending on how much volume you're sending through certain carriers, you're going to get very good rates with them. That being said, we've seen a lot of customers not realize, because they're not rate shopping, they don't realize kind of what other options are out there and where they might be leaving money on the table, whether it's certain lanes or certain types of shipments. I alluded to a customer of ours that, jokingly said he got ROI within a week. That was simply because they were a UPS house. 96% of their shipments going through UPS, didn't even want to consider FedEx, but they had a FedEx contract for third-party bill, so we turned it on. And in their processing of shipments and rate shopping in the first week, they found that FedEx actually won 70% of their shipments. After 3 days of that, their UPS rep, whom they never had met, actually showed up at their door. So they immediately went for a renegotiation, saw the benefit of PaceJet there. That being said, even if you have great rates, the automation in the whole fulfillment process, whether it's accuracy as far as validating addresses to make sure you have residential flags, whether you're scanning items in to make sure you're shipping the correct items to the correct customers, there are a lot of areas where you can see benefits, even if rate shopping isn't going to be your primary ROI driver.
Got it. And Dan, how can we attach proof of delivery documents to a customer order?
Well, as one of the slides showed, we could bring in a proof of delivery document. Might be something that PaceJet provides to us. We can bring that into DocLink, and based on the order number and the customer name, we can electronically staple that proof of delivery document right to the sales order, the order acknowledgement, the invoice, again, so that the Acumatica user has a complete package of documentation around an order. It can go all the way from the quote through that proof of delivery to the invoice and through to payment as well.
Fantastic. Well, I know we're at 5 minutes to the hour, and you guys have been great. We've got some more questions on here. We'll make sure that we answer those in our post-webinar communication. We thank everybody for your attention, and the recording will be available shortly.
Thank you very much. And
thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Thanks, Dan.
Have a good day. Bye.
You guys. Bye.
Bye.